How many of you have businesses that are based on services? And how many of you have products? So I would say that on the product side, it's definitely easier to think up with the rewards because you have a product to give. On the services side, you have to be quite creative, and you may possibly have to be willing to give the service away for a discounted price or a price. And in that way, you'd actually have to go and say, who's interested in my service? Do a lot of research. And here's another interesting statistic. I was invited to speak at the Cannes Film Festival about crowdfunding for movies specifically last month. And one of the guys that was there had crowdfunded 4 times. The first time he had not reached his target and he had not got any money because he was on a platform where he needed to do that. To reach his target to be able to take the money. The second time, he had learned from his mistakes of the first time, which is basically that he hadn't done any planning, he hadn't made lists, he hadn't really built his social media network that was relevant to what he was doing, and he just about made his target. By the 4th time he did it in 10 days for a huge sum of money. And what he had done was he had done research where he had identified 200,000 Twitter accounts and tweeted directly daily at least 200. So it really, to me, made it sound like it really is a numbers game. The more time and effort you put in planning, the more likely you are to succeed, where you keep it relevant, you're not spamming people, and you're letting people know that this is of interest. And I think that's one of the key tenets of how it all works. Pitching your idea is something you're probably used to. You may even be bored of hearing your own voice, pitching time and time again about your business. But we've tried to put together what the DNA of a killer pitch might look like. And really, you have to take into account your tribe or the people who might be interested in this. How do they respond? We were talking earlier about emotionally connecting with people. How can you emotionally connect to these people or this group of people? It may be you need different tactics for different groups. Who are you? And I say this sometimes painfully. You have to be brutally honest with yourself about how people feel about you as a person. And how can you make the most of the assets that you have? Your pitch, what's interesting about your idea, is there something unique and different? Sometimes there simply isn't something unique and different, so how are you going to pitch it so that it's exciting? And what is the idea itself? 9 times out of 10, people fail to describe the idea clearly. And that's something that you need to be able to do in less than 2 sentences. What is it that I am offering and who for? And we always say, before you start, build and listen to your audience. So, test it out on your friends and enemies. Your enemies may actually give you better feedback than your friends who don't want to hurt your feelings. See what they say. Does the pitch make sense? Does it work for you? And accept that feedback. It's free and it's really useful. And if you're in that headspace where you think you've got it 100% right, think again, because that feedback is really, really important. And we have another phrase other than connect, captivate, and convert, which is it's emotion, not promotion. So if you're promoting something or overselling, there is going to be a knock-on effect to the amount of connection you're able to make. So we always say, it doesn't mean you have to be boring. It doesn't mean you have to be too straightforward about how you present your idea. You can be very creative, but explain yourself. What is it that you're doing? I keep saying that. Show us the team. If it's not just one person, sing the praises of the team, their background, their experience. Why are they doing this? If they've had a corporate background and they're suddenly part of a startup, what is it that's driven them? What's the belief that's made them jump ship? How much money do you need to raise? Why? And what are you going to use the money for? How are you going to spend that money? Let people know what the social benefits of what you're doing are. Sometimes we can talk about the product without talking about the benefit of the product. So don't forget, it's a key important thing. People want to look you in the eye and say, I trust you, I like you, or simply I don't. So appear in the video where possible. It doesn't have to be a super professional video. Don't spend tons of money on making it happen. Some of the most effective ones have been done on a mobile phone. And then also mention in the pitch video, talk about the rewards, how much they cost, what's in it for them, and ask people to share the project with their friends and family. And then that's when the hard work begins, because then you've got to activate your campaign. So that's when all that research that you did about who's my target audience, who's on Twitter, who's on Facebook, that's when you're going to start really activating your campaign, making social media very much a driver of your campaign. And we say to people, imagine yourself, remember Obama when he was first elected? He was crowdfunding in a sense, or crowdsourcing, because he used social media every single day. So during the time of your campaign, that's the only thing that should really matter at the time of doing it. These are some of the projects that you're looking at that have crowdfunded on Aflamnah. So far, we've had about 70 projects. We've raised over $300,000 in less than 2 years of operation, and we're quite pleased with that. It's kind of ahead of where we thought we would be at this time. But like you, we're a new business, we're entrepreneurs. And we probably identify with a lot of the challenges that you're facing, because we're facing them as well. So what I'd say to you today is, every time that I do these talks, I always say, get involved, because one day it may be you asking people to support your project. And so get involved, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. We offer consulting, so if you're thinking about crowdfunding, we will have a session with you free of charge to show you the ropes, discuss your idea, come up with specific rewards for what you want to do, and just support you in every way that we can. So thank you, and if you have any questions, I'm around.
For example, I need $50 for a project.
Yeah.
And until those 50 are received, collected, those will be in your account, Aflamnah.
Until your campaign finishes.
Until my campaign finishes.
Correct.
And if I'm unable to get $50,000, all will be refunded.
No, we're not an all or nothing platform. So we made the conscious decision, because this market is not particularly mature, and because people said it's a lot of time and energy investment to crowdfund, that in fact, whatever money they raise, they can keep. The one thing that we do is we email all your supporters if you don't reach your target, and we tell them this project has not reached its target. Are you still okay for us to give them the money? At that point, they have a choice to say, no, I want my money back.
So is there any timeline for a project? I mean,
yes.
3 months, 4 months will be...
So our funding period is anywhere, and I should have mentioned this, but my slides were putting me off, 40 to 100 days.
40 to 100 days, until the project is either cancelled or win-win.
Yeah, so, but you choose. You can decide to do 52 days if that's your lucky number.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.